You. Okay. Ya, selamat pagi Bapak Ibu.
Selamat
Um,
pagi.
this is I always say in the beginning, and that is it for my Bahasa. I always tell buggers that I want to learn more, but learning a language is very difficult. So hopefully in the future, I'm able to talk more in Bahasa with all of you. And I know your campus is located in Georgia, which I visited many, many years ago. I forgot which year. Uh, but I can say that I fall in love with the place right away because I forgot the name, but I went to that temple, very popular in Georgia. And also the weather was so good at that time. So I talked to Vargas, when can I go back to Georgia? Maybe next year, and hopefully
Soon.
we'll see you.
Yeah. Soon. See you soon in
Hopefully.
Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta.
Yes. Okay. So let me share my screen.
Yes, I can see
Okay.
you.
Is
Yeah.
it a
Okay.
full screen? Okay,
Yes.
great.
Full screen.
Thank you. So as you know, today my topic is how to get published. And also, as we said, it's not about how to get your articles published, but how to reach out to the right people that you want to target at. Because only when you reach out to the right audience, then they will read your articles, and then they will cite your articles, and then at the end, you will have impact in your community. So in this section, I will give you some foundation how to, structure on your manuscript, how to, write it in the proper way, and then try to convince the journal editors that your articles is suitable for the journal. And at the end, of course, we have to go through all the process, editorial process, in order to get your articles published. I believe most of the people do not really understand how a publisher's work, and especially the editorial process. So today I will give you some hints. I know I have 1 hour and 50 minutes. I just hope we do have enough time to give you some basic information about how to get your articles published. Yes, the topic of this workshop is how to get published, but how to be an author, and how to be what I want to say is it's not just on how to be an author, but how to be an effective communicator, because your goal should not only be published, but also be widely read in your field. And it is in this way that you have impact and influence the advancement of your field. And when your papers have more impact, they will be more highly cited. And then you will build a reputation and also build up the reputation of your institutions. And all of which will help you advance your career. So to do this, you need to logically organize all your ideas throughout your manuscript so your readers clearly understand the impact of your study. You need to have an efficient publication strategy, so you are publishing in the most appropriate journal to reach out to target audience. And also you need to be able to navigate peer review to improve the quality of your paper and publish more quickly. So because of this, these will be the 3 topics I will cover today. And basically this is the agenda. First of all, I believe some of you may not really know what is Springer Nature. So give me like a few minutes to talk about who is Springer Nature. In 2015, Springer and Macmillan Science Education Group, which owns Nature as one of the subsidiaries, merged to become one company, Springer Nature. And we have more than 10,000 employees based in over 50 countries. And under the umbrella of Springer Nature, our company publishes many of the top brands in academics, including Nature, Springer, Biomed Central, Macmillan, Palgrave, and Scientific American. So Springer Nature is the name of a corporate or the name of a publisher, and Nature, Springer, Palgrave, etc. are the brands or imprints under Springer Nature. We have several divisions, and most relevant to higher education and to you is the research division. And just research division alone, we handle 1 million submissions a year and publish 350,000 articles. SpringerLink and Nature.com platform are the two major platforms of all the research resources sit. And we have 1 billion downloads a year, which is a huge number. And also means that if you publish with us, your discoverability basically discoverability will be higher because you will have more people reaching out to our platform and read your article. And apart from journal articles, we also have abundance of books. Each year we publish more than 13,000 new books. And these articles and books are handled by our internal editors together with a team of academic editors from different fields and research areas. Springer Nature in recent years is following the global trends and the policy of most countries and putting open access publishing as our top priority. And up to now, 16% of the world's open access papers come from Springer Nature. In 2021, we are the first publishers to publish 1 million open access articles. And for researchers to support OA, it is essential that they can, continue to publish in the journals that best reach their audience and discipline. The number of open access journals has increased substantially over the past years, and Springer Nature also keeps expanding our portfolio of fully open access titles across disciplines. And you see now we have almost 600. But to reach scale quickly, and also for researchers to be able to rely on the journals that they know and trust, we need to transition. We need a transition path for existing journals. The Springer Open Choice model that was established many years ago has developed into huge transformative journal portfolio for over 1,700 titles. And via the transformative agreements, we are seeing really shifts in discipline uptake. Springer Nature is always strong in hard science and life science, but after the merger and with the integration of Palgrave Macmillan, we are seeing the humanity and social science published in open access. And it is like more than a triple in the number of articles between 2016 to 2020. So Springer Nature is really covering all disciplines. So in terms of book, Springer Nature is the largest book publisher among other scientific publishers. And you can see in this chart that we publish books way ahead of other publishers. And like, as you see, Taylor Francis or OUP, etc. And then we cover all disciplines such as science and technology, medicine, humanities, and social science. In most of the disciplines, we are also leading the market. As I said, we are particularly strong in life science and hard science. Just the social and humanities science are a little bit behind Taylor Francis. But after we have acquired Palgrave Macmillan and other smaller publishers, we are building up the portfolio of our social and humanities science. And hopefully in a few more years, we will become the #1 in HSS. We don't just publish journals and books, but we do have other types of publications to enrich the full spectrum of publications. Articles and reviews fall under journals, of course. Articles is more like primary research papers, while reviews, as name suggests, is the reviews of published articles. In book portfolios, we have many book types. We have briefs and pivots, which are short books or summary of books. Thesis is like your thesis published in universities. Proceedings and lecture notes are the articles and presentations in conferences. Handbooks and major reference works are mostly used by students, consisting of dictionary, encyclopedia. We also have many other databases or platforms, such as Springer Nature Experiments on life science protocols. Springer materials focus on organic and inorganic materials from famous books, Landau and Bernstein, and other channels, of course. And Ada's insight is on drug development. So, giving you the brief introduction of Springer Nature, then I want to give you a hint of your research journey. I believe some of you haven't published any article yet, so maybe you don't understand the importance of publication and will ask us, why publish? And here are the reasons why you have to publish your research findings. First of all, you can increase the discoverability of your work. You have spent so much time on your research. For sure, you want it to be read and recognized by the readers and the people in your field. And also, most articles by scientific publishers are indexed on the platforms for easy discovery. It will also get a much higher chance of your paper being read. Secondly, by publishing your work, it helps preserve your work in the permanent record and expands your portfolio network and attract more international collaborations. Thirdly, publication can improve presentations and communications of research because the main purpose of peer review is to improve the quality of your paper and correct the errors. Fourthly, sometimes it may be requested by your funder to get the article published in order to receive the fund. You are allowed to post your work on blogs, press releases, etc., to create a bigger impact of your work to the community. Then very likely, after publication, you will put this achievement in your profile and advance your career. Last but not the least, when you have published your experiments and findings, it helps others to build on your work and prevent effort duplication of the experiments. It is also essential to you to understand the publishing process in order to structure your manuscript and prepare your cover letters well before submitting. Basically, the publishing process can be divided into 3 stages. First one is your manuscript preparation. You have to find the right journal to submit your paper, understand the article type and review models, as well as the disclosure requirements to save time for a journal editor. Second is the submission and peer review. Journal editors will go through your manuscript first, and if they think it is suitable for the journal, it will be sent for peer review. And when the article is accepted, it goes to the third stage, that is the production process, and where you can choose to publish in subscription or open access models, and the articles is typesetted and finally get them indexed. And I will go through everything in more details in later slides. So your whole journey will look like this. So do your research, such as carry out experiments, set up methodology, analyze and interpret data, and conclude your finding. Then start working on the manuscript in a logical way, and submit the manuscript to the journal which fits your article the most. And then go through peer review and corrections of your work. When accepted, it goes to production. And finally, article is published and put online. So it is a long journey. So it's very important for you to well prepare in every stage. So now we go to the most important part, the logical manuscript structure. And effective communicators always keep the readers in mind and provides the information they are looking for. Your readers will have 4 main questions about your study. Why did the study need to be done? What did you do? What did you find? And how does this study advance the field? And because of this, articles are structured in such a way to answer each of the reader's questions. the introduction, the methods, the results, and the discussion. And let's look at each one briefly. The first questions that your readers won't answer is why your study needs to be done, and this is generally answered in the introduction section. You should start off broad and then guide your readers down to your specific aims. You begin with the basic background information. Your readers need to understand the context of your study. And please keep in mind that the type of journal you are submitting to. If you are submitting to an international journal, be sure to emphasize the worldwide relevance of your topic. Further, if you are submitting to a broad-focused journal, you will need to provide more background information so people outside your immediate field can be more clearly understood your research and context of your study. However, if you are submitting to a specialized journal, you will not need to give so much background information because most of the journal's readers will likely be familiar with your topic already. Once you have provided context, you now need to tell your readers what is currently known about your topic. So you will need to discuss what has been recently published about this topic, making sure you cite studies that are up-to-date and broadly distributed worldwide. And this is especially important if you are submitting to an international journal. Once you have told your reader what is known in your topic, now you can tell them what is not known. And this is the research problem that serves as the basics for your study. Then it will lead into your specific aims, and be sure that your aims directly address the research problem you identify. And it is in this way that your readers will clearly understand why your study needs to be done. The next question you need to address is what you did, and often answer in the method section. This section will be important for people in your field to not only reproduce what you have done, but also to build on what you have done. The more people that build on your work, the more impact and influence you will have in the field, and that is how you build up your reputation. However, please keep in mind that this section is not only essential for researchers in the field, but it is also one of the first sections carefully evaluated during the peer review. If reviewers see that you did not use an appropriate and up-to-date methodologies, they will usually recommend the journal editor to reject the manuscript. So be sure to include all the information the readers need to, evaluate your study design. So what do your readers need to know? First, you will need to discuss who and what was used in your study, and that is your sample of participants and the materials used for the experiments. You will then need to describe how you performed the experiments, including any controls necessary to validate these techniques. And lastly, you need to describe how you analyze your data, that is the quantification methods you used. And if you use models and equations, you will need to define all variables and assumptions and identify the statistical tests that you use to determine the significance. And if you logically organize all the relevant information about your study design, you will have answered the second key question. So here is an example extracted from the materials and methods section of a published article. And in the red, you can see the authors have described the materials they used and the suppliers and respective location. In purple, you can see clear subheadings for each technique and referring to previously published articles to save space. In the light and electron microscopy, you can see in the green that extra information is needed to convey, explain to the reader how this particular experiment can be reproduced. And in blue, the parameters of the statistical test used have been explained. So if you structure the methods like this clearly in such a structure, then I would say most of the journal editors accept. And then the third question your readers want answer is what you found. And this is done in the results section. And keep in mind, however, that although you are very familiar with all your findings, your readers are not. So if you do not logically present your findings, they can become easily confused. For many fields, a nice logical presentation includes initial observation, characterization of that observation, and finally, how this observation is useful for the field. And actually, that is the application. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are fabricating a new membrane that can be used in wastewater treatment. Well, that is your initial observation. So those findings should be presented first. But now your readers want to know more or want more information about this membrane. They want you to categorize it for them in more detail. So you will then present your findings categorizing the physical and chemical properties of this membrane under different conditions. And lastly, the readers want to know why this membrane is useful and what is its application. So you will then present findings comparing the efficacy of this membrane with those of the other membranes. And in this way, you can logically guide your readers through your findings. And you should also write a results section in subsections, and with each with a very clear subheading and corresponding to a single figure. This is because it is easier for readers to understand complex information when it is presented one bit at a time and try to avoid information overloaded. And each subsection should begin by introducing the findings, such as figure 1 shows the category 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. In that way, readers know what to expect in that subsection. And when readers know what to expect, they will understand those ideas more quickly. So from the same articles I used before, and here is an extract from the results section. Again, you can see clear subheadings have been used. The authors have referred to graphics not only to save space, but to explain complicated findings, which can often be difficult to convey using words alone. It is also normal to make comparisons in your results section, not comparison with previously published studies, save that for discussion, but comparisons among the various experiments or simulations you carried out. What happened at each time point, or along a concentration gradient, or as the attitude increased, and compare back to the baseline. And in the final section, the discussion, you will answer the last key question, how your study contributes to the field. And I like to think of this section as the opposite of the introduction. If you still remember, in the introduction, you start broad and then guide narrowly your readers down to your specific aim. And in the discussion, you want to start narrow. You should summarize your key findings and then guide your readers back out to the general implications these findings have for the field. To do this, you need to interpret your findings. You will have to describe how your findings are similar or different compared with those that have already been published. You will have to discuss any unexpected or negative results. You should never hide results from your readers. Just be sure to describe why you think why you observe these findings, and how future research can further address them if necessary. Also, be sure to describe any limitations in your study design. Your ability to identify your limitations and what measures were taken to control for them actually establish your expertise in the field. At the end of your discussion, sometimes as a separate section, is a conclusion. And please remember that this is the last section that will be read, and meaning this is likely to be what is remembered the most by your readers. Be sure to discuss what is most important about your study, including the main conclusion, key implication, and potential future directions. And if you logically organize your discussion in this way, it will be very clear for the readers how your study contributes to the field. So in the end, you will have logically structured manuscript that answer the 4 key questions: why the study needs to be done, what you did, what you found, and how your study contributes to the field. But in addition to a nice linear flow of information, I strongly encourage you to link your ideas together throughout your manuscript. I already mentioned that your objective should be directly related to the research problem, but this also means that your key findings should be only those that are related to your objective. And finally, be sure that your conclusion answers the questions you identify in the introduction. And think of your manuscript like a story. If you highlight an important problem in the beginning of your story, your readers expect an answer to the question by the time they finish. So that answer is your conclusion. So linking your ideas together throughout your manuscript will help emphasize the significance and relevance of your study for your readers. And now, before your readers will have a chance to read your paper, you need to get their attention first. And you will do that in your title. And this is what people will see when looking for articles to read. And because of this, these are some important points to keep in mind about what you should and should not include. Your title should clearly state what is most important about your study, and that is what your readers are looking for. Your title will also be used in indexing by databases online, so be sure to include 1 or 2 keywords to improve visibility. And also, Google shows only the first 65 characters of your title. And lastly, keep your title short. When people are quickly reading page after page of titles in these online databases, they may skip ones that are too long. Now, what should you avoid in your title? First, avoid questions. These types of titles are not good because it is not what readers are looking for. They themselves already have questions. They just want answers. The answer to the question is what is important of your study. Also, avoid method-based titles such as an investigation or blah, blah, blah. Readers want to know what you found, not what you did. So for both question and method-based titles, readers need to read the abstract to find out what they are looking for. And lastly, avoid abbreviations. If people outside of your immediate field are not familiar with the abbreviation, they will not understand your title. So please ensure your title is a concise description of what is most important about your study, what was investigated, what was the measure, and what are the samples. If you get the attention of the reader, now you have to give them the best impression of your paper with your abstract. And your abstract will be the first time they can evaluate the importance of your aims, the significance of your results, and the relevance of your conclusion. In addition, It is also the first time they can evaluate the clarity of your writing. If they see that you cannot clearly communicate these important aspects of your study in your abstract, they will assume, and based on their first impression, that you cannot do so in the article. So how do you give your readers a good first impression? Well, you need to provide the information necessary for them to evaluate those same questions that I mentioned earlier. And that is why your abstract is a summary of your paper. You need to give background information so readers understand why the study needs to be done. You need to state your aims and study design to address an important research question. You need to highlight the key findings of your study. And please remember that for many readers, this will be the only thing they read about your study. It is not because they don't want to read your article. They just don't have time to read everything in the field. So what they will do is read abstract regularly to stay up to date in the field. And because of this, you need to make sure your key findings are clearly communicated in your abstract. And lastly, be sure to state your main conclusion, which should answer the important question, and the key implications your study has in the field. And this will help emphasize the relevance of your study and encourage readers to download and read your article. And remember, your goal is not only to get published, but also to be widely read in the field. And this is how you have impact. And a well-written abstract is an important way to achieve this goal. Let me have a sip of water. Now that we have reviewed about logically structuring your ideas throughout your manuscript, let us discuss your publication strategy. And the main purpose of this section is to help you understand the thought process you need to go through in deciding the type of journal that is most suitable for your study. Your goal is to publish quickly and have impact in the field. And this is how you build your reputation and advance your career. And to do this, you need to choose the most appropriate journal and communicate the relevance of your study to the journal editor. Many young authors think that their goal is to publish in the journal with the highest impact factor. Honestly, that is wrong. Your goal is to be, as I mentioned many times, is to get widely read. And that is how you have impact. And to do that, you have to be sure you publish in the journal that will allow you to be mostly read in the field. And in other words, which journal will allow you to best reach out your target audience. And just because you publish in a high impact factor journal does not mean your article will be read, because your article may not meet the aim and scope of the journal. And if it is not widely read, it will not have impact. So focus on the impact of your article and not the impact factor of the journal. So first of all, you need to ask yourself the most important question: who is your target audience? And what are your researchers located in the region or worldwide? And what are your researchers investigating or studying? The subject area or related area? And what do you want to influence apart from the researcher? Industry, policymakers, educators, or general public? So your audience has a very great influence to you to choose the right journal. The easiest assessment you can make is, where are your findings relevant? If your findings are useful for researchers worldwide, then you should choose an international journal. However, if your findings are only useful for researchers in your specific area, for example, only in Asia Pacific or even only in Indonesia, then you should choose a regional journal. It may be hard to convince an international journal editor that your regionally specific findings will be of interest to readers in Latin America. But of course, if you think that, yeah, it may have more, development or even spread out to other countries in the future, then you can consider to publish in international journal, but you have to mention it very clearly in your cover letter. You need to decide who will be interested in reading your findings. Who do you want to influence? If you are trying to reach only readers in your specific field, then a specialized journal will be appropriate. However, if your findings will have impact for researchers in other fields as well, then a more broad-focused journal will be more appropriate to reach to these readers. Especially nowadays, more readers are, doing the research in multidisciplinary. And there are two publishing models authors can choose: subscription or open access journals. Subscription journals are often more established in the field because they are older and do not, charge fees to publish articles. But however, keep in mind that by publishing in these journals, you restrict access to your findings to only those academics or universities subscribe to that journal. So if you want your findings to be more widely available worldwide, then open access would be a more appropriate publication model. Apart from higher accessibility, open access has other benefits such as authors can keep the copyright in general, the papers have higher downloads, etc. If I remember correctly, I see a report saying that publishing in open access actually has more than 1.6 times download than those in subscription model. So what are the big difference between the two? Yeah, open access journals has no subscriptions or open access open access journals has no subscription or access fee for readers, meaning that they won't hit the paywall and can access to your article no matter who they are and where they are. Authors are asked to pay the article processing charge, we call it APC, either paid by themselves or covered by the institutions or any funding and sponsor from outside. And authors can retain the copyright under the CC BY license, meaning that readers are allowed to copy and distribute the material in any medium or format, and to alter, transform, or build upon the material, including for commercial use, providing the original author is credited. Transformation journals are always referred to subscription or hybrid journals. Subscription means that all the costs are handled by the publishers, but the articles will only be limited to those with subscription rights to the articles. And hybrids is the journal that authors can choose between subscription or open access after the articles are accepted. And nowadays, more and more articles are transitioning to a fully open access journals, and that is why we are using more transformative journals for those which are not yet fully open access. However, not all open access journals are good, and there are some that promise quick and easy publication for a fee, and do not trust these journals. Then how do you identify a trustworthy journal? First, check the publisher. If it is from a reputable publisher like Springer Nature, then you can be confident that it is a good journal. You can check where the journal is indexed. For example, is it listed in the directory of open access journal? If yes, it is likely a good journal. But also, is it indexed in the databases that researchers in the field use to find articles, like Web of Science or Scopus? If not, even if it is published, no one will find it. So always ensure your journal is indexed properly. Almost all open access journals only charge a fee after acceptance. If a journal asks for a submission or publication fee, you need to be very careful. Also check the editorial board. They should have a list of international experts with some names that you are familiar with. There is an excellent and a free resources or website that is available to authors. It's called Think, Check, Submit. And this website will help you check whether a journal is trustworthy and appropriate for your manuscript. So simply click on this link, check. And they will give you a nice checklist that you can use. Only if you can answer yes to all of the questions should you feel comfortable submitting to the journal. So I strongly encourage you to use these free resources if you ever doubt a potential journal. So there are many indexing services around the world. Some are international and some are more regional. It is hard for you to remember each one for sure. So here are the list of accepted indexing services, which are more well-known, popular among scientific publishers. I think you don't have to, capture the screenshot because my slide will be shared by the library later. And beware of those copycats. You see in this slide that some icons of indexing databases look like the real ones very much. But if you look at it in detail, you know that they are actually not real. For example, WorldCat, yes, it is under OCLC. That is correct. But the logo of WorldCat doesn't bear OCLC next to it. And the other one is the not recognized metric. There is JCR, Journal Citation Report, but we never heard of the JIF. And very important hint is that they always ask you to pay in advance. And this kind of journals will get your money and will not publish your articles, or you may not even find them again in the future. And this is another example that they will send you an email to tempt you to publish by offering you a big discount on article processing charge APC. Yeah, publishers may offer discount, but we never see such a big discount like 94% off. So we have now discussed how to choose an appropriate journal and how to logically organize your ideas in your manuscript. You're ready to submit. This next section, I will cover the important points to keep in mind so that you can successfully submit your manuscript to the journal. One important thing you have to keep in mind is journal editors are very, very busy, because most of them are not full-time editors. But full-time professors and heads of department, they will do the review only when they have time. And that means you are competing with other researchers for the limited time. And therefore, having an efficient publication strategy means that you effectively communicate the suitability of your study to them and make the information they need to evaluate your paper easy to understand in your cover letter. First impressions are important when you have limited attention from the journal editor. It is the first time they can evaluate the significance and relevance of your study. And this is how they determine if your manuscript is suitable to be published by the journal. If not, they have many other options to choose from. They also want to ensure your study will be interesting to the readers. Journal editors want to improve the reputation of the journal in the field. So to do this, their published articles need to be widely read. So what information journal editors need when evaluating the suitability of your manuscript? They want to know the title of your manuscript, of course, but also tell the journal editor the type of article it is. Journal publish a variety of article types, such as research articles, short communications, review articles, letters to the editor, etc. And each one is evaluated differently. So let the journal editor know the type of article your manuscript is in the beginning of your cover letter. Then next, you need to briefly describe why the study needs to be done in the scope of your study. Introduce the topic of the study and what challenges researchers are facing regarding this topic. Then concisely discuss your study and achievements. Your study design and highlight the one or two most important findings. And this is to emphasize why your study is important to the field. And next, you need to convince the journal editor that your manuscript is relevant to the journal's reader. Remember, that is an important issue for the journal editor. I recommend you to review the aims and scope of the journal and be sure to include any key topics or readers that are emphasized there. This will help establish the suitability of your manuscript and why the journal editor should choose your manuscript over the many others that have already been submitted. Finally, some other additional information is highly recommended. You should highlight important issues related to publication ethics. It is also a good idea to recommend 3 or 4 potential reviewers for your manuscript. Some journals require this, so be sure to read the author guidelines carefully. But even if they don't require it, it is always a good idea and can help speed up the submission process, because finding qualified reviewers can often take time for the journal editors. You can also exclude reviewers as well to avoid any potential conflicts of interest during the review of your manuscript. And in the end, you will have a logically written cover letter emphasizing the significance and relevance of your study for the journal editor, and that will increase your chance of publication success. It is also a good idea to read the recently published articles in your chosen journal. Then you get a picture or idea of what types of contents of articles will be mostly accepted by the journal editor. Because journal editors always look for novelty, so the recent published articles will more or less show what is the most novel findings in the research field. You can go to Springer websites or Nature websites to check out more information about the editorial policies and publication ethics. Now that you have convinced the journal editor that your study may be suitable for publication in the journal, you have overcome the first obstacle in publication. Then the next obstacle you have to face is peer review. Although many authors feel peer review like this, just like slaughtering along the journey, please remember that peer review actually is a very positive process. During the peer review, experts in your field take time out of their busy schedule to give you their advanced advice on how you can improve the quality of your study and your manuscript. And remember, they do this free of charge. And by being externally reviewed, peer review ensures that only those studies that are most relevant for the field and that are scientifically sound are published. And this process can then directly influence the advancement of the field. Therefore, you have to ensure that the journal editor has all the information they need to make the decision. And this is done in the response letter after revision. One of the most common mistakes that authors make in the response letter, and that the journal editors hate so much, is that they only saying that the revision was done, but not what the revisions were. So please remember, journal editors are very busy people. They don't have time to hunt for your changes in the revised manuscript. So you need to make it easy for them to assess if you have fully revised your manuscript according to the reviewer comments. So be sure to state in the response letter what was revised and where those revisions can be found. In your revised manuscript, make the changes easy to see as well. For example, you can highlight the revised text, and this will facilitate the review process and can help you publish more quickly. Of course, you may not always agree with what the reviewers comment. So what should you do if you think the comments are not fair? So first of all, discuss with colleagues to get the third-party angle, because they may have different views from your own. Secondly, check the journal articles to see if they have similar findings or styles as yours. Double check if you need additional support for your conclusions to make it clear that it is important to the field. And also check again the journal's aims and scope to see if you are aligned with it. If at the end, you still find the reviewer's requests are unfair by checking everything, then you should contact the journal editor, because reviewers, yes, may work in the field, but they may not know every study or niche research areas. Then it may become a bit unfair to those comments. So talk to the journal editor. Because peer review is an essential step in the journey of the manuscript. However, it is important to remember that journal editors still play the essential role and make the final decisions. So that's why I always said that if you find something very weird or not agree with that, you talk to the editor. And this is how the manuscript journey looks like. The first decision the journal editor will make is whether or not your manuscript meets the basic requirement for the journal. If not, they will not even send it for review. If they feel it may be suitable for the journal, then they will find reviewers to evaluate your manuscript. And this reviewer will then give them recommendations on how the manuscript can be further improved and whether they feel it is suitable for publication. The journal editor will then assess these comments and decide whether to reject it or send it back to the author for revisions. And after revision, the author will send back the improved manuscript for another round of evaluation. So if journal editors feel that all the review's comments have been addressed, only then will the journal editor accept the manuscript. In some cases, the manuscript may even go through another round of peer review to be safe. So while the reviewers play an essential role in the process, it is still the journal editor to make the final decision. Sorry about my voice.
Okay.
Regardless of how good your study or manuscript is, you may still not be successful at your target journal. And remember, you have a lot of competition for limited space. So what should you do if you are rejected? First, relax. Remember, this happens to everyone. So please do not take it personal. And And then next, learn from the experience. What didn't they like about your manuscript? Can you revise it to improve further? And lastly, resubmit your manuscript, revised manuscript to another journal. It is not ethical to submit your revised manuscript to the same journal. You have to submit to another one. And as publishers, we want to help you. Springer Nature has an excellent transfer desk that can help you choose which journal may be right for you from our broad portfolio of journals. So this is the landing page of our transfer desk. So one of the most time-consuming parts of rejections is the problem of finding another suitable journal to submit your manuscript, right? Sometimes editors have to reject sound manuscript for reasons other than the research quality. For example, the manuscript may not fit well with the journal's aims and scope. So Springer Nature launched the Transfer Desk service many years ago. Our Transfer Desk subject matter experts will analyze your manuscript with the help of our advanced journal matching technology and taking into account your submissions preferences and any editor or viewer's comments to find the best journal for your research. But please note that a transfer doesn't guarantee publication. And Springer has launched several mega journals which cover multidisciplinary subjects, and there must be one journal appropriate to your manuscript. Nature has a journal transfer service for authors as well. If papers are rejected from Nature because the content is too specialized, Nature editors will recommend transferring your submission to a Nature research journal, such as Nature Photonics, Nature Chemistry, if they feel the results are breakthroughs for the field. Or transfer to Nature Communications if they feel the results will have less impact. And manuscripts that are technically sound, but are not significant advancement for the field would be recommended to transfer to scientific reports. Both Nature Communications and Scientific Reports are fully open access journals. And this transfer desk will increase the success of your paper being published in Nature portfolio. So if you are accepted, yeah, it's time for celebration. But at the same time, you should not just sit passively and wait for readers to stumble upon your article online, because they may not. You need to actively promote it to the field. You should attend conferences to discuss your work. You will be able to interact with your peers face-to-face to discuss your recent studies. And these are also likely your target readers. So let them know what you have published to increase your visibility in the field. And by doing this, you will not only improve your impact, but you will likely establish new collaborations that can further improve your reputation and publication output. But you should also promote your article on social media, and you can, promote your recently published work via a link to the article on the publisher's site. You can put it on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook to more broadly reach out to your readers worldwide. And please keep in mind, however, although social networks are great for open access articles because people do not need to log in to read your paper, they can be a burden for subscription articles. But luckily, Springer Nature has addressed this important issue with our new platform of content sharing. Content sharing from Springer Nature allows anyone to read your published article, even without subscription access to the journal. And we are happy to announce that this is available for Springer Nature's entire portfolio of over 2,500 journals. So how does content sharing work? After you publish in a Springer Nature journal, you simply go to the article webpage, and here you will see an option to share your article, and click on the option to get the shareable options. To get the shareable link. When anyone clicks on the shareable link, for example, from a tweet, they will be able to read your full text article online. If they have the subscription access to the journal, they can download the PDF. But even if they don't have the access, they can still read the full text article online, just that they cannot download, print, or reshare the article. So today we have focused on being an effective communicator, ensuring that the information your readers are looking for can be found and understood quickly and efficiently. And we reveal how to logically organize your ideas throughout your manuscript to effectively communicate them to your readers. We then discuss how to choose the best journal for your manuscript to reach out to the most appropriate audience. And lastly, we cover how to communicate the suitability of your manuscript to the journal editor and how to successfully navigate the peer review process. And by doing this, you will not only be published, but also more widely read in the field. And this will lead to increased citations and build up your reputations in the field. And also, you can support your institution and build up the reputation of your institutions as well. We hope this presentation is useful for all of you, but we do recognize that people may want more assistance in improving their publication success. And we are happy to say that Springer Nature can help you reach your publication goals. First of all, we have different types of paid training available. Nature Masterclasses is an online, it's not online, is an on-site tailor-made training based on your requirements. It can last a day or several days. It is conducted by our nature editors in the field. Then we have Nature Masterclasses live workshop. It can be live or virtual with general publishing talk and scientific writing training. And then we have Nature Research Academies. It can be in person or virtual, but it is for bigger groups. And on Springer website, we also provide free online researcher support. You can go to springer.com, author and reviewer tutorials, and then you will see free tutorials in different topics, such as writing a manuscript, submitting to a journal in peer review, etc., etc. Terima kasih. I just think that my information is good enough for you, and I'm glad that I just used an hour to finish it, and we still have time for other, comments or questions if there is any.
Yes. Bapak Ibu, demikian tadi yang disampaikan oleh Miss Mabel Tang. Thank you, Miss Mabel Tang. Jadi Bapak Ibu, tadi sudah 1 jam lebih ya kita dengarkan. Jadi ketika kita mau menulis artikel gitu ya, kalau bisa saya simpulkan sedikit ya, saya ulas sedikit bahwa tulisan kita kalau udah jadi itu nantinya langkah selanjutnya adalah kita memilih jurnalnya. Kemudian sesuaikan tuh, benar nggak MN scope-nya. Sesuaikan lagi tuh author guide-nya gitu ya. Kemudian apakah benar-benar tulisan kita ini mempunyai novelty. Nah, terkait dengan novelty ini Bapak Ibu, di Research Week ini Bapak Ibu nantinya ketika misalnya kesulitan mencari novelty atau bagaimana menentukannya, ada konsultasi bersama pustakawan UMY di perpustakaan di lantai 1. Jadi kita nanti bisa menggunakan voucher untuk melihat apakah tulisan kita ini benar-benar mengandung novelty atau tidak gitu ya. Kemudian juga tadi ada pokok bahasan terkait bagaimana how to analyze the data. Kita juga ada konsultasi terkait penggunaan NVivo dan juga Smart PLS juga di perpustakaan UMY gitu ya. Kemudian ketika kita bikin judul Bapak Ibu, pastikan bahwa judul ini akan get your reader's attention. Jadi benar-benar begitu kita baca judulnya, orang lain membaca judulnya kita itu, kemudian kita tertarik, kira-kira tulisannya seperti apa ya, gitu ya. Kemudian juga abstrak, ini harus benar-benar mewakili dari isi papernya kita. Jangan sampai abstraknya itu kemana, isinya kemana, gitu ya. Jadi key finding-nya, main conclusion-nya itu harus benar-benar ada di dalam abstrak. Kemudian Bapak Ibu, jadi kita ini ketika membuat artikel jurnal, fokus bahwa artikel ini nanti punya impact, bukan fokus kepada kira-kira impact faktor jurnalnya apa ya, gitu ya. Kemudian lanjut lagi. Kita juga perlu tahu nih, ketika kita memilih artikel jurnal, artikel kita ini skopnya kemana sih? Apakah dia lebih kepada dunia, Asia Pasifik, lokal, atau bahkan di Indonesia saja? Nanti kita lihat bahwa data kita ini cukup ke mana nih? Kalau data kita kecil, apakah cukup di jurnal-jurnal di Indonesia saja? Atau benar-benar ini mencangkup seluruh dunia, kita bisa ambil jurnal yang levelnya memang mendunia, gitu ya. Dan jangan sampai terjebak harus bayar dulu nih gitu ya untuk bisa publish di jurnalnya gitu ya. Ini juga hati-hati Bapak Ibu. Banyak kan yang kalau begitu nih tipu-tipu gitu ya. Kemudian terkait dengan novelty tadi, bahwa benar-benar tulisan yang kita ini harus mempunyai sesuatu yang memiliki kebaruan gitu ya. Jangan kemudian ini udah pernah banyak ditulis banyak orang gitu. Oke ya. Kemudian lagi, jadi ketika tulisan kita masukkan ke jurnal gitu ya, ketika kita akan submit jurnal, dia itu akan masuk ke level editor dulu Bapak Ibu sebelum masuk reviewer. Jadi pastikan bahwa yang kita tulis itu benar-benar sesuai author guide-nya. Jadi kalau misalnya jurnalnya memang maunya menggunakan APA, jangan sampai kita mengirimkannya kemudian bukan pakai APA tapi pakai Turabian misalnya begitu ya. Jadi belum lagi dibaca oleh reviewer, sebenarnya sudah tertolak sama editor, gitu ya. Kemudian lagi nih, jadi setelah publish Bapak Ibu jangan lupa dirayakan. Merayakannya dengan menguploadnya, memberitahukan ke banyak orang bahwa jurnal kita ini sudah publish gitu ya. Sudah bisa dibaca dan Bapak Ibu bisa sampaikan itu agar teman-teman bisa kemudian memanfaatkan tulisan kita, membaca dan tentu saja kita ingin tulisan kita ini nanti punya impact yang bagus gitu ya. Bapak Ibu, ini tadi terkait dengan presentasi dari Miss Mabel Tang ya. Jadi itu yang kita pelajari hari ini luar biasa, semoga bermanfaat ya. Kemudian Miss Mabel Tang, we continue with question on answer, but after Mas Bagas have presentation and training. It's
Okay,
fine?
no
Ya,
problem.
okay. Ya, thank you. Mas Bagas, apakah sudah siap, Mas?
Halo,
Ya,
siap Bu.
ya, oke deh.
Dengerin Mabel. Semoga yang lainnya juga semangat ya. Anyway, thank you Mabel.
Ya, oke, Mas Bagas, silahkan ya, langsung aja
Jatah
terkait
saya berapa
dengan
menit ya Bu? Sorry Bu.
jatahnya Mas Bagas itu berapa menit? Wait.
15 ya
Oh,
Bu ya.
tiba-tiba. 20 ya? 20 menit, Mas?
Oke,
Cukup ya?
siap. Ya,
Oke.
cukup Bu. Tak cukup-cukupin Bu.
Ya,
Izin share screen.
ya.
Saya juga izin menggunakan account-nya perpustakaan UMY sebagai admin ya Bu. Dari rumah saya aksesnya remote.
Oke, ya, siap.
Oke.
Silahkan.
Biar seperti mengakses kalau sedang di UMY gitu loh.
Oh,
Bapak Ibu
baik.
semuanya, perkenalkan saya Bagas. Halo, is it okay?
Sudah
Jelas ya, Bu?
terlihat juga. Ya.
Oke, jelas ya. Perkenalkan Bapak Ibu semua, saya Bagas, rekan-rekan di UMY semua. Saya yang handle untuk Springer Nature di wilayah Jogja. So, Bapak Ibu semua, saya juga base-nya di Jogja. In case ada pertanyaan related dengan Springer Nature yang perlu kita tatap muka, saya bersedia sekali datang ke UMY. Karena lokasi rumah saya dengan UMY itu sepertinya cuma 4 kilometer. So easy for me to visit you guys lah.
Ya. Jadi
Kemudian
sering-sering
hari
diundang boleh ya Mas ya?
Oh boleh, asal ada
Siap.
asal yang saya sampaikan berguna, siap Bu.
Oh iya, siap. Baik-baik.
Oke, agenda saya akan presentasikan platform. Jadi kalau tadi Mabel itu kan sampaikan how to write until how to get published ya, benar-benar sampai publikasi. Kemudian dari kacamata penulis peneliti lah ya. Kalau saya dari kacamata atau posisi reader, gitu ya. Nah, saya mau sampaikan di awal bahwa pertengahan tahun ini perpustakaan UMY itu melanggankan paket jurnal Springer standar untuk Bapak Ibu semua. Isinya itu kalau berdasarkan license ada 1025 judul jurnal. Bayangkan ya, punyanya Springer itu nanti kita cek ya ada berapa jurnal. Seingat saya itu ada 3.000-an judul jurnal. Tapi yang dilanggankan oleh perpustakaan UMY itu ada 1025. Itu mencakup disiplin, semua disiplin. Tadi Mabel sampaikan kan ya, Springer Nature, setelah merger dengan Nature, dengan Palgrave, itu kita multidisciplinary. Makanya kita diterima baik oleh big institution, oleh banyak negara gitu. Karena kami hadir dengan solusi multidisciplinary. Jadi Anda butuh apa, kami adalah lah gitu loh. Karena ilmu pengetahuan kan berkembang ya. Jadi sebagai penerbit kita ngikutin perkembangan itu. Nanti kita search di platform ini. Saya harap Bapak Ibu semua dimanapun Anda berada, rekan-rekan UMY, silahkan masuk ke platform ini. Pastikan mengaksesnya menggunakan jaringannya UMY dulu ya. Gitu. Saya taruh di chat box, silahkan klik. Itu platform pertama. Platform kedua yang saya mau sampaikan ke Bapak Ibu semua adalah nature.com. Cuman nature.com ini kenapa walaupun belum dilanggar UMY tapi di situ banyak open access paper. Ya kita tahu lah ya Nature itu judul-judul jurnalnya tuh high impact. Saya cek kemarin per hari kemarin Nature itu impact-nya sampai 60. Bayangin impact factor-nya satu judul 60. Dan di sana ada banyak open access, so silahkan explore. Hari ini kita bicara banyak mengenai link.springer.com. Kemudian dari 1025 judul yang dilanggan oleh perpustakaan UMY ini, saya sering ditanya adalah di indeks Scopus nggak? Nah, gitu kan. Nanti kita bisa cek, ada banyak cara sih untuk ngecek sebuah judul jurnal itu diindeks oleh Scopus atau indexing company yang lain. Jadi Scopus itu indexing, Springer itu penerbit. Jadi kalau nanti Bapak Ibu semua mohon bisa membedakan ya, penerbit ya kami menerbitkan, kami kayak pabriknya lah, kami memproduksi. Kalau indexing company ya tugasnya, fungsinya mereka yang mengindeks. Contohnya kalau di Indonesia yang rame dan yang terkenal itu Scopus, kemudian ada Web of Science, kemudian ada Dimension, kemudian pokoknya ada Google Scholar. Nah itu indexing. Dan mereka punya kriteria sendiri untuk sebuah paper atau jurnal itu sampai terindeks sama mereka beda-beda ya. Ada yang aturannya ketat, ada yang selama punya DOI kita indeks lah gitu-gitu ada. Nah, Bapak Ibu semua nanti pelajari, explore, membedakan indexing company tersebut. Springer sebagai penerbit, kami menerbitkan apa saja Bapak Ibu semua. Kalau dilihat di platform ini, kita punya artikel di bawah sebuah jurnal, of course. Dari 1025 judul jurnal yang dilanggan oleh UMY, itu artikelnya bisa jutaan. Saya pernah cek sepertinya 4, sekian juta ya. Jadi bayangin Bapak Ibu semua, Bapak Ibu semua punya akses ke 4 jutaan artikel. Multidisciplinary. Jadi gimana Bu, Mbak Nov? Jadi UMY itu sebenarnya nggak ada alasan kekurangan konten ilmiah ya.
Sebenarnya
Karena
begitu ya.
ya
Mungkin
karena
perlu
sudah.
dikenalkan lagi ya Mas Bagas ya.
Nah, gitu. Kalau saya karena keterbatasan waktu ini ya, nanti mungkin hanya sekilas. Sebenarnya platform itu mirip dengan sosial media. ya kan, yang kayak TikTok gitu atau Instagram makin sering kita kunjungi, kita familiar kan ya. Nah, ini saya hanya kayak glimpse-nya aja. Kita punya artikel di bawah sebuah jurnal, kemudian buku itu ada chapter-chapternya. Kalau dari platform ini kita bisa lihat ada 200 juta download setiap bulannya. Bener banget. Dari download ini saya pernah membuka per negara. Kemudian benar negara-negara yang gimana ya, yang dibilang develop country, kemudian developing country itu memang downloadannya berbeda karena itu menunjukkan kebutuhannya. Nah, Indonesia ini as an emerging country, saya lihat yang namanya emerging ya, itu nggak cuma ekonominya gitu. Downloadannya itu juga naik sekali. Plus dulu area-area di luar Jawa mungkin belum pernah mengakses Springer, sekarang mereka bisa mengakses, jadi jumlah downloadannya tinggi. Nah, UMY ini setelah udah dilanggankan, saya berharap sekali warga UMY kalau butuh konten ilmiah, ya konten ilmiah jangan nyari di yang tempat lain. Ingat ada Springer. Ada berapa tadi 4 jutaan dokumen gitu ya. Kemudian kita coba tampilannya seperti ini biar lebih familiar dulu ya. Ini honestly ini adalah homepage baru Bapak Ibu semua. Jadi nanti ada pelatihan tersendiri lagi ya Mbak Nov di homepage biru ini karena memang baru dites di global di seluruh dunia. Nanti kalau proses web seperti ini tuh nanti akan ada feedback, evaluasi. Nah, itu yang nanti akan penambahan. Makanya once itu semua settle, saya pasti akan lakukan pelatihan lagi di UMY terkait homepage yang baru ini. Nah, nanti saya akan menggunakan tampilan yang lama karena lebih familiar. Ini tampilan barunya, kita fokus lagi ke sini. Nanti ini ada, kalau yang tadi Mabel sampaikan, kalau mau mencari open access silahkan di sini. Kemudian kalau yang mau publish, kemudian mau track research-nya di sini. Kemudian ini adalah tab untuk mencari artikel ilmiah. Tadi Mabel sampaikan kan rekan-rekan semua, dari sisi penulis itu harus menulis sesuatu yang penting, kemudian judulnya harus ada keyword-nya, kalau bikin judul jangan panjang-panjang. Kalau dari sisi kita pembaca, readers, setiap kali mencari artikel ilmiah, kita harus siap dengan yang namanya keyword, betul? Nah, silahkan masukkan keyword di tab search ini. Nanti akan muncul. Ya dong, jangan sampai kita kan nggak mungkin membaca 15 juta artikel semuanya kan. Kita pasti mau mencari dengan keyword, kata kunci, atau topik tertentu yang sudah ada di pikiran kita dan kita mau cari data referensinya. Silahkan masukkan keyword di sini, nanti diklik aja sebelah kanan. Nanti saya kasih contoh, saya lanjutkan ke bawah. Ini brand-brandnya Springer, kemudian ini diurutkan berdasarkan ini ya, buat para peneliti penulis kalau mau publikasi atau mau contribute di papers, ini ada update-nya. Kemudian trending research yang baru muncul, yang lagi trending itu juga muncul di homepage paling depan. Ini mempermudah untuk para pembaca mau mendapatkan bacaan yang terupdate, yang lagi ngehits, yang lagi viral di dunia ilmiah itu apa aja. Teman-teman semua bisa langsung klik di homepage depan. Kemudian ini feature jurnal, ini artinya jurnal-jurnal yang lagi banyak publikasi dan lagi banyak unduhan, itu biasanya ditampilkan. Nanti ada feature book juga. Kemudian kalau mau browse berdasarkan subject collection atau ya subject collection ya, itu silakan langsung di klik aja. Misalnya saya mau fokus ke computer science ya, karena saya lihat usage di UMY yang tinggi itu computer science. Nah, itu nanti tampilannya seperti ini. Dia udah filter berdasarkan tadi computer science. Nanti ini bisa difilter lagi. Saya dari computer science saya hanya mau melihat buku, chapter, atau artikel di bawah sebuah jurnal. Kemudian nih Bapak Ibu semua bisa lihat ya, computer science kan tadi kita pilih di artikel itu ada 200 ribuan, right? Judul jurnalnya ada 178. Jadi di bawah 178 judul jurnal itu ada topik atau keilmuan yang membahas computer science itu bentuknya dalam artikel itu ada 200 ribuan. Kalau buku itu ada 33.000, itu di bawah di dalam sebuah buku kan ada chapter ya, 800-an. Gitu, nanti silakan dipilih aja. Jadi itu tadi bentuk untuk tipenya. Kalau di scroll ke bawah misalnya saya pilih artikel deh yang lebih gampang ya. Kemudian mau melihat artikel yang dipublish 3 bulan terakhir, 6 bulan terakhir, 1 tahun terakhir, 2 tahun terakhir, itu silahkan dipilih. Saya pilih yang 3 bulan ya. Atau ada range tahun tertentu, itu bisa langsung diisi. Bahasanya bisa dipilih, of course English lah ya. Kemudian, tapi tadi di UMY ada corner-corner berbagai bahasa ya, France, dan sebagainya, silahkan dieksplor. Kemudian disiplinnya kan tadi udah dipilih computer science ya. So, saya tutup lagi. Di bawah disiplin computer science itu ada subdisiplin, Bapak Ibu semua. Yang lebih detail ada AI. Ya. Kemudian subdisiplin yang lain. Jadi ini lebih untuk ngefilter, filter ya, untuk nyaring. Jangan sampai kaget gitu, bacaannya banyak banget. Nah, dengan filter ini bisa membantu. Itu cara pertama memfilter ya. Tapi kalau Bapak Ibu semua sudah punya kata kunci, wah itu lebih mudah lagi sebenarnya. Sorry. Kita kembali, ini fitur filternya tolong silahkan dieksplor. Kemudian nanti muncul hasil pencariannya itu berdasarkan tanggal yang paling baru itu di atas, atau kalau mau yang paling relevan itu silakan diklik, atau yang lama mau di atas itu silakan. Tadi Mabel sempat sampaikan juga bedanya open access dan yang dilanggan itu. Setiap artikel yang open access ada keterangan open access. Kalau nggak ada keterangan open access berarti dia harus dilanggan atau subscription title. Gitu ya. Itu cara ngefilter kan pakai tools ini. Kalau Bapak Ibu semua mau udah punya kata kunci itu enak lagi. Udah lebih fokus. Yang dari tadi saya sampaikan itu kan tampilan baru. Ini bentuk tampilan lama Bapak Ibu semua. Saya mau tunjukkan ada tulisan you can go back to the old experience. Maksudnya ini tampilan lama ya. Itu, nah ini yang dulu sering kita pergunakan, yang secara global sudah familiar, bentuknya seperti ini.
Ini berarti baru banget ya Mas, yang barusan Mas ini liatin ya?
Iya Bu, itu super baru.
Oke.
Kemudian dan masih kayak testing gitu loh Bu. Nanti akan ada development dan makanya belum di-announce finalnya. Once itu sudah final, kita akan training ulang. Tapi ini tampilan lamanya selalu muncul ini, ada pertanyaan, ada link you can go back to the old experience. Nanti dilarikannya ke sini. Gitu ya, kita balik lagi ke sini misalnya. Kemudian saya itu mau share juga ke Bapak Ibu semua, kita itu sediakan laporan buat perpustakaan UMY, buat UMY juga, laporan penggunaan, jadi unduhan yang diklik berhasil. Ada juga warga UMY yang mau ngeklik, mau membaca, kemudian ada beberapa page yang mau di-download tapi nggak bisa, itu sebagai denial atau no license. Kita lihat ya, saya tadi sempat unduhkan untuk e-journal aja deh ya. Ini adalah jurnal-jurnal yang paling banyak diunduh di UMY. Yang paling tertinggi adalah Journal of Business Ethics. kita lihat yuk Journal of Business Ethics itu seperti apa. Oke, saya ketik aja deh. Misalnya di sini. Journal of Business Ethics. Langsung di search. Nah, ini kan kayak tadi yang model baru itu filternya kan modelnya di sebelah kanan ya. Kalau ini filternya langsung. Saya hanya mau melihat yang jurnal misal. Journal of Business Ethics. Nah, ini jurnal yang paling diminati di UMY dari IP range yang terdaftar ya. Saya sampaikan kenapa Journal of Business Ethics ini paling banyak diunduh, karena dari data tadi menunjukin ya, nih dia paling banyak diunduh 119 unduhan. Ini sepertinya sebelum UMY langgan ya. Nanti setelah UMY proses melanggan, laporannya ada seperti ini, dan kita bisa siapkan setiap bulan untuk bahan evaluasinya perpustakaan UMY. Dan pimpinan, kira-kira Springer nih mau dilanjut, mau tetap dilanggan dengan paket yang sama, atau perlu menambah lah, itu dasarnya laporan ini. Nah, ini kembali lagi ke tampilan Journal of Business Ethics. Jadi, bacaan ini, judulnya Journal of Business Ethics, dia impact-nya yang impact 2 tahunannya 6, oh, berarti bagus warga UMY, berarti bacaannya adalah jurnal-jurnal yang berkualitas lah. Salah satunya dilihat dari impact factor-nya. Kemudian di sini juga ada informasi kalau warga UMY punya manuskrip dan mau disubmit di Journal of Business Ethics, itu ada informasi submission to first decision-nya berapa, jumlah unduhannya berapa. Tampilannya juga berdasarkan latest issue, artikel terbarunya seperti apa. Kita klik ya, contoh papernya seperti apa. Kemudian tadi saya ingat Mabel juga sempat sampaikan, mulai sekarang kalau membagi artikel ilmiah, itu pakai share it. Bapak Ibu ingat, mungkin juga pernah disuruh baca dosen, atau Bapak Ibu semua dosen dulu kalau membagi paper dalam bentuk PDF, betul kan? Nah, tadi Mabel sempat sampaikan, Springer Nature tuh punya tools membagi artikel itu pakai link. Jadi di setiap paper itu ada linknya Bapak Ibu semua. Tadi saya ngedownload dari ini ya, latest artikel, bentuknya seperti ini. Striking the right notes, itu di bawah Journal of Business Ethics. Kemudian Bapak Ibu semua misalnya penulis di sini misal dan kepengen mahasiswa atau warga di luar UMY untuk tujuan akademis ya membaca paper ini. Dulu kan biasanya di-download PDF-nya terus dikasih ke siapapun gitu, ditaruh di folder gitu. Nah, zaman sekarang secara legal juga disarankan untuk membagi dalam bentuk sharing. Silahkan diklik di paling bawah, di scroll paling bawah biasanya. About this article. Nah, di bagian paling bawah itu ada get shareable link. Nah, kenapa kita encourage dan secara legal disarankan pakai link ini, Bapak Ibu semua? Kalau yang dibagikan adalah PDF, kita tidak bisa tahu berapa banyak yang membaca, atau impact tadi yang Mabel sempat sharing ya, impact-nya nggak bisa keukur. Tapi dengan pakai link ini, nanti yang ngedownload berapa, kapan, itu bisa terlihat. Kemudian benefit buat penulis, of course, dia punya paper ini akan naik, makin banyak di-share, makin banyak diklik, gitu ya. Kemudian kalau manfaat buat UMY misalnya, jadi UMY kan melanggan nih, UMY pengen tahu dong, kira-kira yang dilanggankan itu diklik, di-download berapa kali, dibaca, atau reach-nya kemana. Terus kalau buat grup UMY yang lain, semisal ya, yang mungkin tidak seperti UMY atau Muhammadiyah yang lain yang butuh paper, tapi tahu UMY, warga UMY pengen membagi ke mereka, itu diizinkan. Asal untuk tujuan akademis ya, bukan untuk komersil, itu silahkan membagi pakai link ini. Jadi kita bisa membantu universitas UMY yang lain di luar Jawa mungkin yang belum bisa membaca secara paper-paper ilmiah yang paling update. So kita encourage pakai share artikel ini. Jadi ini di setiap artikel pasti ada. Mungkin kalau artikel yang baru terbit tadi pagi atau kemarin sore, ditunggu aja dalam seminggu nanti akan muncul. Begitu ya. Semoga informasi ini jelas. Kemudian setiap artikel itu ada informasi terkait citasinya. Jadi silahkan bisa untuk disitasi. Kalau yakin mau membaca, silakan di-download dalam bentuk PDF atau pakai share it tadi. So anytime nanti bisa dibaca lagi. Biasanya gitu kan ya, kan kalau nyari paper di-download dulu gitu, bacanya nanti gitu. Biasanya gitu kan?
Ya,
Atau ya, saya soalnya juga begitu. Jadi, tapi kan kita nggak mungkin ngebaca 100, 300 paper kan ya. Kita bisa fokus ke, makanya tadi kuncinya di keyword tadi, kita benar-benar harus pilih keyword yang tepat. Semoga ini level artikel, kalau mau level jurnal bisa dapat informasi tadi. Journal of Business Ethics yang dilanggan UMY ini di indeks siapa ya? Itu tuh terlihat Bapak Ibu semua. Silahkan di scroll ke bawah. Nah ini ada informasinya. Itu cara yang pertama. Jadi setiap judul dicek yang indeks siapa. Atau ya datang langsung ke websitenya si pengindeks, misalnya Scopus. Masukin aja nanti nama penerbitnya Springer Nature, nah itu muncul. Bahkan saya berani sampaikan top 100, top 50-nya di Scopus itu, di Q1-nya itu isinya dari Springer Nature. Artinya apa? Perpustakaan UMY melanggankan konten buat Bapak Ibu semua, bukan konten yang tidak terindeks atau tidak berkualitas. Semuanya berkualitas dan ada di Q1. So, explore more, saya encourage Bapak Ibu semua untuk bisa manfaatkan. Kemudian kita itu, kalau saya ini kan bentar banget nih, kita punya panduan-panduan how to access book atau jurnal itu dalam bentuk video juga ada. Itu ada, kita punya YouTube resminya Springer Nature, nanti bisa silahkan explore ke sana. Kan ada ya orang yang belajarnya baca gitu,
Jadi saya
tulisan.
nggak perlu bikin ya Mas Bagas sebenarnya ya, udah langsung bisa pakai punya Mas Bagas aja ya.
Iya,
Oh,
bisa, Mbak. Cuman kalau itu versi yang lama ya, versi baru ini
Heeh.
sedang diproduksi. Nanti tapi banyak universitas yang masih pakai yang lama dan ini juga masih belum jelas kan end date-nya kapan. Itu
Oke.
bisa dimanfaatkan. Saya Springer Link semoga dapat gambaran ya. Tadi seperti sosial media makin sering Bapak Ibu semua kunjungi, explore, oh gini, itu lama-lama familiar. Yang saya lupa semua perlu mendaftarkan, ada dua sih. Kalau UMY sudah punya VPN buat student, buat semua warga itu gampang ya. Itu pasti sama tim IT sudah disetting, masuk pakai VPN. Jadi kalau VPN kan dimanapun Anda berada, ya bisa mengakses seperti sedang di dalam kampus. Cuman beberapa universitas itu belum punya VPN atau SSO ya kalau buat student. Nah, caranya Bapak Ibu semua bisa mendaftarkan di kanan atas itu ada account. Itu nanti ini saya tadi pakai admin ya. Jadi di kanan atas itu silakan di login atau sign up. Nah, itu silakan daftar. Syarat utamanya mendaftar harus di dalam jaringannya UMY, mendaftarnya saja ya. Kalau sudah terdaftar, Bapak Ibu semua akan punya username dan password dan itu bisa digunakan di luar kampus. Nanti dengan username dan password itu bisa mengakses sama seperti kalau lagi di dalam UMY. Saya encourage, silahkan dicoba. Kalau ada kendala, nanti feel free kontak saya atau perpustakaan UMY. Mbak Nov, di UMY
Ya,
sudah ada SSO buat student?
ada, nggih. Jadi
Oh,
teman-teman, nanti kalau misalnya pakai SSO itu teman-teman bisa menggunakan My Class ya. Di dalam My Class sudah ada My Pustaka. Teman-teman bisa login-nya melalui My Class, kemudian masuk ke dalam My Pustaka untuk bisa mengakses informasi terkait dengan Springer gitu ya. Terus feel free untuk Mas Bagas, feel free banget untuk perpustakaan. Jadi semakin teman-teman sering datang ke perpustakaan untuk bertanya bagaimana sih akses Springer dengan lebih maksimal, kita sangat welcome gitu ya. Silahkan datang. Untuk minggu-minggu ini sekali lagi di Research Week ada di lantai 1, bisa langsung konsultasi dengan pustakawan yang ada di sini. Kemudian di hari-hari berikutnya teman-teman bisa langsung datang ke perpustakaan di lantai 2. Ada pustakawan yang akan sangat siap ready untuk menjawab pertanyaan-pertanyaan teman-teman semua. Gitu ya Mas Bagas. Waktunya udah habis nih Mas Bagas. Ya.
Ya, saya taruh email saya di chat. Silahkan kontak saya, CC perpustakaan of course. Kalau nggak di CC nanti saya infokan ke perpustakaan juga. Any question, pertanyaan apapun terkait Anda sebagai pembaca mau mengakses atau Anda sebagai penulis yang pengen submit manuskripnya di Springer dan pengen publish, itu bisa kontak saya, nanti saya bisa bantu untuk bantu tahap selanjutnya, menjembatani lah Bapak Ibu semua
Bukan
dengan
membantu
ini.
agar pasti masuk kan Mas ya, bukan ya?
Enggak Bu, saya
Menjembatani.
ilmunya
Siap.
apalagi nanti kalau yang submit kedokteran, teknik apa gitu ya, itu udah
Ya,
saya
benar.
have no idea Bu.
Ya.
Saya
Jadi
menjembatani,
bukan
saya menjembatani.
kontennya ya, teman-teman, sekali lagi bukan
Lebih ke
kontennya, tapi
komunikasinya.
betul ya.
Itu ya teman-teman, dan Mbak Nov
Makasih
semoga
Mas.
membantu.
Ya,
Sama-sama.
siap. Sangat membantu. Ya, teman-teman. Mabel, are you there? Are you still with us?
Yeah. Yes. Of course.
Okay. Actually, I send you a chat in the chat box directly to you. There are 3 questions and we already do it in English. The first question is from Dasim. Mr. Dasim Kasman from Perpustakaan STB Ayapari, Bandung. How to find partners to collaborate with foreign researchers? How to overcome language barriers in writing with the United Nations language? Are there any institution or application that can we use? Thank you. Can you answer that, Mabel, please?
Sure. I think the first part is how to find partners to collaborate, right? Actually, I think if you are working in your field, somehow you have heard of the names from your peers, from your supervisors, and even when you read articles, you may see some names. So what I can encourage you to do is to read more articles, to stay in the very front line of your research area, so that you know who is publishing what. Because the more you read the articles, the more you will know about the people in the field. But I want to share with you, I would say this is quite an excellent website, and it is free to everyone. Let me share. Let's see where. Here. Ibu Novi, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is called Dimensions. There is a free version and a paid version, but you can go to free version where you can see basic information. So for example, on the left-hand side, if you go to research categories, under that there is fields of research. And there's a lot of, research areas. For example, if I'm doing research on engineering, and I limit to this one, just limit to engineering, and there are some, publication come up, and click on the analytical views, under which there is researchers. And you will see who are staying up front in this research field. For example, Henry, he is French. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Henry is very active in the engineering field. And you can click on Henry and look at his profile and also read his articles. Because Dimension has collected all the articles from different publishers. It's not just from Springer Nature, but also from other publishers. So basically, you can see who are very active in your field. But of course, first of all, you have to find out, the research areas that you are focusing in. then you will try to connect with those people. This is how you can, look for some partners for collaboration. And of course, as I mentioned in my slide, that it's good for you to go to conferences because those people are very relevant to your research studies. And by talking to them, you may be able to get some people studying the same area with you, and then you can talk to them whether there is any further collaboration in the future. I just hope that there will be some hints for the audience. And then another one is about the language. Yeah, we know that most of the Asian countries, we are not native speaker in English, so it can be quite difficult for us to write in English. But I can give you some hints that we, Springer Nature, do provide language editing service, and these editors are actually from the scientific field, which is able to give you some editing service, not just on the English, but also on the logical way of your scientific thinking. But the problem is that this is a paid service. So only when you are ready to pay for extra for your study and for the publications, then it is a good tool. But at the same time, I also encourage you to read more articles because changing the language is not a day or a month's time that can be totally turnover. So the more you read about it, others' articles, the more you are familiar of writing a scientific articles, in what format, in what way, what language, what is the structure, etc. The more you read, the more familiar you will know what should be written in your manuscript. And also, of course, following my steps, like think of the readers in mind, answer the 4 key questions, and then think of your title, abstract, and the summary, and the cover letter. Such follow our guidelines. Then you are able to make a similar manuscript of others. But last but not the least, what I want to say on behalf of our editors is not about the language. Doesn't mean that if you write your English in a perfect way, then your article, your manuscript will be accepted. We are looking at the novelty of the articles. When your findings are very new to the field, that others are not, haven't thought of or never done the experiments, but you have found out something new in the market, in the research areas, then this is something that we want to publish. It's not about your English. It's about what you have found. So don't worry about your English. There may be no perfect English because even some American or British I know, they may not speak perfect English. So focus on structuring your manuscript, and then next is your language. I hope I have answered the question.
Yes, of course. Next question from Desi Natalia. Desi Natalia, are you still there? Yeah, for the question is, may I ask, can I novice lecturer published in journal published in Springer? Because based on some of the explanation earlier, it seemed challenging to get published in those journals. Are there any strategies that should be prepared before submitting a manuscript? That actually what you said from 16 papers is about how to be prepared, right?
Exactly.
Ya, juga untuk Ibu Desi sebenarnya yang diceritakan oleh Miss Mabel Tang dari awal tadi adalah how we should prepare before submitting a manuscript ya. Jadi nanti akan kita bagikan di kolom chat materinya agar Bapak Ibu bisa mendalami lebih lagi gitu ya. Sudah di-share ya, Bapak Ibu bisa lihat. So we share your material there. So the audience will, the participant will read and learn again. Okay.
Yeah. Just one point I want to emphasize is that if you have some journals in mind, that you want to publish in those journals, go to the journal website, check out the aims and scope. Because if your findings or if your topic does not fit into the aims and scope of the journals, the editors will reject your manuscript. So just make sure you target at the right journal, target at the right audience. Go through the aims and scope. If they are, both of them, your manuscript and the aims and scope are a perfect match, then you can submit to that articles and increase the chance of being accepted.
Ya, betul Bapak Ibu. Jadi pastikan Bapak Ibu lihat MN scope-nya di masing-masing jurnal, kemudian sudah pas belum sih artikel kita dengan MN scope di jurnal yang kita tuju itu. Jadi jangan sampai sudah tertolak karena kita mau nulis apa, ternyata MN scope-nya di jurnal itu nggak sesuai dengan tulisan kita. Ya, jadi itu perlu benar-benar Bapak Ibu lihat terlebih dahulu. Ya, last question from Rohai. Why we should subscribe Springer? Is that any differences between non-paid and free articles?
Okay, and actually it's also mentioned in my slide, but I can explain it in more details. Why do you have to subscribe? Because since day one of scientific publishing, we are using the traditional way of publishing model, and that is called a subscription model. That means the authors submit the manuscript to publishers like Springer Nature, and then we will do all the editorial process for the authors. And when it is accepted, we go to production. So everything works behind a paywall. And then only those universities or institutions have the subscription to those journals, then the users can access to the full text. So we call it a subscription or the closed articles under recently hybrid journals. And that is a traditional way, and that has been running for over 100 years. But open access is a new publishing model in the past 15 years, roughly, that the authors publish articles in open access journals, which authors keep the copyright, and the articles are freely available to everyone. There is no paywall at all. But authors need to pay the article processing charge. That is, we call it APC. So that's the difference between the two models. Why do you still have to subscribe? Because still a lot of articles are published in the closed or traditional publishing model in the subscription. And that is why your library is very kind enough to subscribe our content and let you read the articles. Because as I said, open access is rather new publishing model and also have require the authors to have enough funding to publish in open access. So that's why we allow the authors to choose between open access or subscription model. So that's the difference between the two. And that is why you have to subscribe.
Very last question actually from Indigo Vera. What is the estimated duration of the process from submission to acceptance and publications?
Okay, each journal is different because depending on the availability of the peer reviewers, and also depending on the number of pages, because not all journals have these limitations or requirements, but some journals do require a certain number of words to submit. So depending on the length of the articles, the time from submission to acceptance is different. So if you go to the journal webpage, you will see from the day of submission to the first decision maker making. That means whether the author, whether the journal editor think that it is suitable to my journal. This is the first day of the submission to the first editorial decision. Mostly, or roughly, it is like 7 days to 10 days, usually. And then after that, it goes through the peer review, the revision, etc., etc. So each journal is different. Some last for 100 days from submission to acceptance. Some last for almost a year. So if you have identified the journals that you want to submit your manuscript, go to the journal homepage, and there will be a roughly guidelines on how long does it take from your first submission to acceptance.
Thank you. Mbak Indi, tentu saja nanti tergantung ya, punya Mbak Indi ini major revision atau major revision atau minor revision begitu ya, sehingga beberapa lama juga Mbak kemudian merevisi, kemudian mengirimkannya kembali. Jadi tadi disampaikan kalau kita sudah kumpulkan, mungkin 1 minggu setelah itu sudah dicek lagi. Nah, kemudian kapan nih kita mau kirim lagi? Kemudian major revisionnya se-major apa sih? Minor revisionnya seminor apa sih? Itu kan juga akan berpengaruh ya Mbak Indi ya. Dan Mbak Indi kalau mau tanya lebih jauh, bisa datang ke perpustakaan ya. Kita siap membantu Mbak Indi untuk langsung nih publish di Springer. Ada Mas Bagas tentu saja. Ya. Baik Bapak Ibu, kita akan habis di jam 12, tapi sebelumnya akan ada quiz dulu dari Springer bersama Mbak Eva. Thank you Mabel for the question and
Thank
answer.
you. Terima kasih.
Yeah. Next is quiz from Springer with Mbak Eva. Silakan Mbak Eva.
Ya, selamat siang Bapak Ibu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Iya, sambil menuju makan siang, ini adalah sesi terakhir untuk kuis. Jadi kita ada form yang bisa nanti diisi Bapak Ibu. Saya izin share screen, boleh Bu Novi?
Silakan.
Oke.
Tapi setelah Mbak Eva nanti masih ada tutup-tutup dulu dari perpustakaan ya Bapak Ibu. Jadi langsung jangan leave.
Oke,
Ya.
ini sebentar aja. Mungkin sambil menunggu tutup-tutup juga.
Nggak nelpon
Oke.
aja. Ya Allah, aku nelpon, Cu.
Oke, sudah terlihat. Oke, ini ada form Google yang wajib diisi Bapak Ibu untuk bisa diisikan nama. Linknya juga sudah saya share di kolom chat box. Oke, nanti akan kita pilih 10 pemenang dengan jawaban tercepat dan yang paling tepat. Oke, di sini saya stop share sebentar. Saya akan perlihatkan seperti apa formnya. Oke, seperti ini formnya. Jadi Bapak Ibu bisa langsung isikan nama lengkap, alamat email institusi, dan nomor handphonenya, dan memudahkan kita untuk bisa menghubungi Bapak Ibu pemenang secara directly. Nanti bisa langsung next, dan muncul pertanyaannya. Kurang lebih untuk pemenangnya sebenarnya agak cukup lama, jadi mungkin sambil mempersingkat waktu, kita juga bisa menunggu pemenang, nanti akan diinfokan dari Mas Bagasnya langsung, dan mungkin bisa langsung saya serahkan ke Bu Novi untuk ada closing statement dari perpustakaan.
Ya, terima
Mbak
kasih.
Eva,
Ya,
Mbak Eva itu linknya ternyata belum dibagi di chat, Mbak. Peserta pada minta link
Iya
quiznya.
Mbak, boleh di-share ya.
Boleh di copy paste di situ.
Ya, jadi ada quiz dan ada hadiah menarik dari iGroup ya, dari Springer. Oke.
udah ya?
Gitu aja Mbak Eva ya.
Iya, gitu aja.
Oke deh. Jadi teman-teman silakan isi quiz dari Springer, dari iGroup ya. Kemudian teman-teman ini sudah memasuki jam 11.53 sehingga nantinya kita harus tutup ya. Dan demikian tadi teman-teman webinar kita kali ini dalam acara hari kedua nih dalam Research Week Perpustakaan UNY. Masih ada lagi 3 untuk besok gitu ya, hari Rabu itu bersama Turnitin, Utilization of Turnitin in Improving Academic Integrity bersama Mbak Sastri Chow jam 8:30. Jadi jamnya berubah-ubah ya Bapak Ibu. Jadi harus dipastikan bukan datang di jam 9, pasti sudah mulai. Bukan juga datang di jam 1, karena untuk hari Kamis dengan Johan Jiang, Scopus in Depth How to Use Research Analytic Tools for Research, itu akan dari 13 sampai jam 15 ya. Mohon segera mendaftar untuk itu. Kemudian juga Tips and Tricks How to Get Published in Emerald. Itu bersama Pak Irwan Sukar di hari Jumat 10 November jam 8.30 hingga jam 11.30. Dan sekali lagi kami sampaikan bahwa Research Week Perpustakaan UMY ini tidak hanya secara online, ya, tapi Bapak Ibu dan juga teman-teman bisa juga melakukan konsultasi dengan pustakawan terkait bagaimana sih mencari sumber informasi dari jurnal bereputasi baik nasional maupun internasional. Ya, kemudian bagaimana menggunakan reference tools dengan benar, baik itu Mendeley, Zotero ataupun EndNote. Kemudian bagaimana menghindari plagiasi, kemudian bagaimana mencari novelty penelitian dengan posture, serta bagaimana mengolah data menggunakan NVivo juga Smart PLS. Setiap harinya, sekali lagi di lantai 1 gedung perpustakaan di masa Research Week ini. Dan untuk setelah masa Research Week, teman-teman bisa lakukan konsultasi bersama pustakawan di lantai 2 gedung perpustakaan. Ya, Bapak Ibu hadirin yang berbahagia, mari kita tutup bersama dengan hamdalah. Semoga alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim, semoga Research Week Perpustakaan UMY ini bermanfaat untuk kita semua, karena Perpustakaan UMY adalah sarana pasti menuju prestasi. Terima kasih Mas Bagas, terima kasih Mbak Eva, terima kasih Miss Mabel Tang, dan semua yang sudah bergabung bersama acara Research Week di hari kedua ini. Ya, terima kasih sekali lagi. Jangan lupa isi formnya, ya. Jangan lupa isi daftar hadirnya. Ya. Terima kasih. Sampai jumpa di lain kesempatan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama.
Pak Wahyu.
Sekali lagi jangan lupa untuk mengisikan link sertifikat dan juga link dari Springer untuk kuisnya.
Kita mahasiswi di Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Sebagai seorang mahasiswi, aku sering berkunjung ke perpustakaan. Bukan hanya untuk membaca buku aja, tapi juga untuk melakukan banyak hal lainnya. Ikut aku yuk ke Perpustakaan Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Ruang sirkulasi dan ruang baca. Di ruangan ini menyediakan berbagai macam koleksi buku yang bisa kita baca. Menyediakan kursi, lesehan, agar kita nyaman dan betah berlama-lama di perpustakaan. Selain itu, buku juga dapat dipinjam, dibawa pulang oleh Civitas Akademika. Ruang komputer. Ruangan ini digunakan untuk mencari referensi dan mengerjakan tugas kuliah. Ruang repositori. Ruangan ini menyediakan layanan referensi seperti kamus, ensiklopedia, jurnal, prosiding, dan lain-lain. Serta layanan konsultasi seperti kepenulisan, plagiasi, olah data, reference tools. Juga tersedia komputer untuk keperluan olah data seperti SPSS, Fast Viewer, Smart PLS, and NVivo. Selain layanannya yang lengkap, ruang repositori menjadi tempat andalan bagi mahasiswa yang ingin mencari sumber referensi. Milenial muda, ikut aku ke luar negeri yuk! Taiwan Education Center. Tempat ini merupakan hasil bentuk kerjasama antara UMY dengan TETO, Taipei Economic and Trade Office. Kita bisa belajar mengenai bahasa, budaya, dan sosial Taiwan serta informasi terkait beasiswa di Taiwan. Salah satu tempat yang kini menjadi favorit mahasiswa adalah Bangladesh Corner. Di sini, kita tidak hanya belajar mengenai budaya, namun kita juga dapat berinteraksi langsung dengan mahasiswa asli Bangladesh. Bonjour, selamat datang di Warung Perancis. Di sini kita bisa mendapatkan informasi-informasi terkait beasiswa di Perancis. Ada teman-teman volunteer yang akan membantu mencari informasi terkait dengan Perancis. Next, ikut aku yuk ke tempat di mana patung Liberty berada. Tempat ini merupakan hasil bentuk kerjasama antara UMY dengan Kedubes Amerika Serikat, American Corner. Buku dan majalah yang ada di sini langsung didatangkan dari Amerika loh. Kita di sini juga bisa menggunakan studio podcast, bermain game board, dan juga game konsol. Pengen lebih santai saat membaca buku? Kita bisa nongkrong di Lipcore Cafe. Atau kalau kamu ingin belajar dengan lebih tenang, ruangan belajar mandiri adalah pilihan yang tepat. Di sini ada 9 bilik yang dapat digunakan untuk belajar atau mengerjakan tugas sendirian biar lebih fokus. Nah, kalau kamu ingin belajar tentang sejarah dan semua hal tentang Muhammadiyah, kamu juga bisa mampir ke Muhammadiyah Corner. Di sini juga terdapat layanan, pelatihan literasi informasi, klinik skripsi, layanan konsultasi, cek similarity, akun premium, serta koleksi digital. So, gimana milenial muda? Seru kan baca bukunya? Perpustakaan Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, sarana pasti menuju prestasi.